Welcome to the Tech Blog Writer Podcast, your guide to future tech trends and innovation in a language you understand. Now, over to your host, Neil Hughes.
A big warm welcome back to the Tech Blog Writer Podcast. What a crazy week it's been. In fact, what a crazy month, and even year. My advice to anyone listening or thinking about launching their own podcast is to just do it. All you need is a microphone and record your conversation, so don't overcomplicate things. And I'm sure I'm not allowed to tell you this, but hey, rules are for fools, right? But I wanted to share with you that I've got a slot at an upcoming virtual summit called Life by Design. That will take place in a few weeks. There's some pretty big names on there. It'll be promoted by the likes of Forbes, etc. But I'll be talking about how each and every one of you can create and launch your own podcast with minimal fuss. As soon as I have more details on that, I will pass them all on to you. So stay tuned on that one. But on with today's show, and over the last 10 days, I've been so fortunate to have spoken with Adobe, IBM, Microsoft, and today I'm incredibly grateful to welcome back my good friend Dan from Sony. And it doesn't get much better than that, and I feel incredibly humbled by this journey that I find myself on. And regular listeners will remember Dan from last time. He was a guest on the show talking about Sony digital paper. But the product is continuing to evolve. And I felt compelled to catch up with him and find out more about how Sony Electronics is continuing to expand and enhance its digital paper product offering, especially with the recent release of the new notebook-sized 10-inch model. So if you're a tech fan that wants to finally eradicate paper from the office, you're in for a treat. So buckle up and hold on tight as I beam your ears all the way to New Jersey so we can speak with Daniel Albohn, who is not only Global Business Development at Sony North America, but he's also friend of the Tech Blog Writer Podcast. Massive warm welcome back to the show, Dan. Can you believe a year has passed since we last spoke?
Neil, thanks for having me back, and it's incredible with the ups and downs in our businesses and our lives and all the activities, and it does just seem like yesterday that you and I were introduced, and you kindly had me on for the first time. Thanks for having me back.
Oh, no, the pleasure is mine, my friend. But for anyone that missed you first time around, can you just tell the listeners a little about who you are and what you do at Sony?
Well, yeah, I've been with Sony since my early work in wireless and satellite, cellular, and mobile. I've been with Sony now over 15 years working in e-reading, e-books, literacy, learning, and it started out with e-book. And the first e-readers using the e-ink-based screen. And we evolved, and several years back, we continued to pursue our development work with the e-ink display. And I lead global business development in our new product group, and my focus is to expand our digital paper business, the products that we'll talk about today, including the new product that we announced about a week or two ago.
I'm glad you mentioned that new product there, because I recently read that Sony Electronics is continuing to expand and enhance its digital paper product, and the new release of the notebook, which I believe is now done a 10-inch model. I mean, can you tell me about that? It sounds incredibly exciting.
Yeah, I have one sitting here. Some people call it the little brother, others just in the paper world parlance, the 13.3 inch that we talked about last year and continues to thrive and grow, that's called A4. This is the A5 size, and it has all the same software, features, functions as its big brother, the DPT RP1. But this model, the CP1, again, just announced in the past 2 weeks, and people are ordering already through Amazon and B&H here in the United States. I expect it will begin shipping in the mid-June. Not exactly sure, but wanted to show we are showing commitment to this category, that another category that Sony has trailblazed. We sensed, in spite of all the benefits of the A4 13.3 inch, that the 10.3 inch would definitely, or the 10 inch would have appeal to another sector. Both products are highly portable, they're lightweight, but this is a little smaller. and affords the same kind of functionality for others who may want a more compact piece of hardware.
Now, for most people listening, they've all been promised a paperless office for 20, 30 years now, But for anyone listening that is new to Sony Digital Paper, that missed our first conversation, what are the real benefits of going paperless, whether you're a business professional or a student that could be listening?
Well, here we go again. You're right on the money. This is a relevant topic. It's almost like, let's talk about the English countryside and perennials and the gardens. Paperless, if you think about it, it's a perennial. I mean, it's daily. Yeah. It's we can get into all the garden parlance, I guess, for those gardeners who listen to you. But this is a perennial topic at legal meetings, at STEM conferences, in the government. Maybe we'll talk a little bit about that later in this discussion. There are paper mills everywhere. And so it's been, perhaps a little bit like the electronic medical record, too. It's this pot of gold at the end of the yellow brick road or something where people are pursuing it and have never. So our product is, it's all about reading and writing, but it is a major contributor to individuals who would like to reduce the amount of paper in their office, in their lives. The 3-ring binders that we see on the trains going to Heathrow or going to Washington, D.C. on the Amtrak Acela here. It's incredible to see attorneys and policymakers and other professionals swimming in paper. So this is just another opportunity for our friends and colleagues and people to digitize their workflow.
So one of the things that I really love about what you're doing at Sony is the emphasis that you seem to be putting on considering recommendations from customers and also the company's intent to continuously improve the overall experience of your customers. I mean, that's what I see from the outside looking in, but is that something that is at the heart of everything that you're doing?
Well, certainly our team, my colleagues Bob Nell, Bill Burke, Brad Stevenson, myself, and our development colleagues over in Tokyo, it is. The prime motivator, and we'll talk about it later, is the strong review and encouragement we get from individual users from around the world. And that motivates me every day because I see the benefit that they're getting. I also see the warts and where it may be a little rough around the edges, and that's what our responsibility to raise this voice to our development team to improve things. Neil, recently, again in the past 2 weeks, and the download began yesterday, we upgraded the firmware. We can talk about some of those new features whenever you want, but we upgraded the firmware of our digital paper. The new products will ship with this firmware to include some features that we knew were needed, but this was clearly affirmed by the market. And there are still additional features and functions that need to be brought to our customer base, and we have ongoing product development and software development. But yes, just yesterday we introduced a new download for digital paper that all of our customers can secure and then benefit from some of the new features.
So do you have any examples of recommendations that have made it through to new products or even like in the firmware upgrade? And just to highlight how feedback really is improving the customer experience and how you guys listen to that.
A number of the features, including what I call overhead projection. It's really, this came heavily from mathematicians and physicists who, in addition to reading journal articles and reviewing theses and dissertations and correcting exams, seminar papers, they wanted to use it in the classroom. And it was amazing at the Joint Mathematics meeting and also at the American Physical Society. That was our first this year at the American Physical Society, where the reception was incredible. They want to be able to draw on this and project in a classroom setting. or have a student come up and work on formulas. So they are now able to do that. That's one of the prime features that came through customer feedback, and that's where the digital paper can be connected wirelessly, USB, Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, but it can be connected with your computer, and then it's via the computer to the projection system in the classroom or the boardroom, quite frankly. So again, you can project, mark up documents, or do long-form proofs, theorems, formulas. Works very well for certain disciplines and in the business, in the conference room, in the round table, you might say.
So from a productivity...
That's one example.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic.
Sorry, that's one example. Mm-hmm.
And from a productivity point of view, I think our expectation now is that we can obtain our files seamlessly across any device, whether it be a laptop, smartphone or tablet. So how easy is it to get your files into devices when you need them most? Because I think we've all seen people, as we're talking about digital paper, we've all seen people that sit in a meeting and will physically write their notes on a piece of paper and then go away and type them, which is something I've never understood. But if you could explain to me how you would work with a Sony digital paper.
So the primary means continues to be the same. Something called the digital paper application resides on a PC, a Windows, or Mac, and it basically mirrors what's on your digital paper. So what you see on your digital paper screen, you will also see on your PC or Mac. And so the transfer can be done via a USB connection of files or folders. It can also be done wirelessly, Bluetooth, or Wi-Fi. And from that application, on your computer, you set up sync folders. So any cloud service that has a desktop application, whether it be Dropbox, Box, Google Drive, OneDrive, Citrix ShareFile, I may be missing a couple, Hightail, anything that, any of those services, and SharePoint or internal servers, you can sync directly via the computer. Going back to your previous question, again, we knew this was a deficiency, and we also announced and released the mobile application for digital paper, so people would not be anchored to their computer for the transfer and sharing of documents. So now the Android app is now available, and we expect the iOS app to be available too. This is an early version of the mobile app, so we have some work to do to make it more robust, if you will. But now, if you're at a conference, if you're down at Starbucks, or if wherever you may be, you can transfer and share documents from your digital paper via your mobile phone, whether it be to your cloud service or to other colleagues or attaching it to an email. So that we got lots of feedback this past year on the need for the mobile app, and that just reinforced our own understanding to make it easy. And without going too long on this, it's probably something we'll talk about a little later on, but print to digital paper it has become one of my favorite features. In fact, I printed a couple items for our discussion today from my computer. The lingo is it's your own personal printer, and it happens instantaneously where you select a document in any format, and it converts to PDF on the fly, and it instantly appears on your digital paper, and then you can whisk out of your office to a conference room or to wherever you're going, and you have one or more documents on your digital paper. That contributes to the paperless initiative, but the speed and transfer is incredible. The one caveat is that it is for Windows 10 and Mac only. I'm benefiting from it here inside the great confines of Sony because I moved from Windows 7 Enterprise to Windows 10. And we all know Windows 10 has had a few challenges, but now I'm benefiting from the print to digital paper. It is one of my favorite features, and it is, to your point, the easy way of instantly transferring documents over to the product.
So are there any other new feature enhancements that are on both the 10-inch and the 13-inch products? I mean, what are the features that will make people want to go out there, upgrade, or equally just dive into the world of digital paper for the first time?
Yeah, well, to dive in the first time and to go out and get it, we need to do even more in our campaign for this product to raise awareness amongst the most obvious beneficiaries. But along with the screen capture, display output mode, the projection that I mentioned, we also now support interactive PDFs. Also, some call it smart forms, drop-down boxes, radio buttons, text entry. And this is particularly helpful for the many businesses and organizations that still rely on paper forms, intake forms. It's particularly nice also on the A4 size, the larger screen, because again, a lot of these forms are full sheet, 8.5 by 11 A4. It works well also on the smaller device, but I think for larger forms, the larger form factor of the DPT RP1 product is optimal for handling interactive PDF forms. We also added a very important, very basic navigational feature. We need to improve navigation because reading and jumping around in documents, reading is still foremost on this, and we included page jump. Now, I don't know if that's going to make people rush out and buy it. They need to have the greater understanding of the benefits, but page jump is going to make it much easier for those who are reading ebooks, PDF ebooks, or long-form documents, budget documents, legislation, to hop around the material much more quickly. And so that's another of the features that I think people will benefit from, along with the mobile app.
So listening to you talk there's two things that really stand out for me. One is that you act on feedback, and you do get a lot of feedback from the community, and that's very important to you. And you're also looking to raise awareness of these Sony digital products. So for anyone listening that has never used digital paper, are there any favourite features of your customers or any stories that they come to you with how it's improved their productivity or just their daily work life?
Neil, that again, it's one of the motivating factors for me personally when we get notes of support. These people are becoming power users more expert than we are, and they help with the nuances. In fact, whether it be the professor from Max Planck Institute who told me, oh yes, Daniel, I simply Googled what is the best PDF e-reader, because he and many of our faculty and PhD students are awash with journal articles. They read all the time. So they don't want to read on backlit screens, on liquid crystal displays, on small mobile phones. These are serious readers. And that applies not just to STEM researchers, faculty, PhD students, but attorneys and actually others, whether it be forensics, psychiatry, psychology. So the key feature here for these people is the e-ink and all the attributes of the large screen with no backlight, long battery life. Many of your listeners know these features about e-ink, but that's the gating factor. If you need a full computer, if you need gaming and email and browsing, this is not for you. Yeah. This is not what you're in the market for. Then you're in the market for a tablet or a PC. This is a complement to the heavier computing devices, which are trying to be all things to all people, but simply, as our customer base tells us, we don't want to read on our computers. Now, yes, there are some, but we know there's a large group out there that wants to do this. And two stories very quickly, one coming from our podcast last year. I have one wonderful faculty member out at Cal State Sacramento. He's chairman of one of the departments, listened to your podcast, and he has provided some outstanding input related to search. We need to improve the search capabilities to include international characters. So I'm hopeful that we can include that in a forthcoming firmware. He's provided other wonderful feedback, and we hope to meet sometime. But that's one example of a unique use, because the reminder was the STEM professionals and others read many documents in Chinese or German, and they want to be able to search in those characters. This should not be difficult for us to do, but I don't read foreign documents, and that was just a great feedback. We get other recommendations all the time, and that's one example. But we get them through our testimonials. We get them through our 4- and 5-star reviews. We get rave reviews, but we also get reminders of things that we need to improve. The other one that I'm thinking of is the strong input from musicians. This product is designed perfectly for sheet music, and we have ardent supporters in the musical community, but we can do more. We need to host Bluetooth on this device to support a foot pedal. And that's another example of feedback from multiple people with very convincing arguments about the opportunity for us. It's very motivating, Neil.
Yeah, I mean, just listening to you talk there, it seems that your customers are scattered across multiple industries, aren't they? And they're not just legal or education. Just listen to you mentioning musicians, for example, is something I never thought of. So it seems to be quite far-reaching, isn't it?
It really is, and there is a following for the core e-ink screen, and particularly this A4-sized. But again, we're bringing in a new audience that may want the more compact 10-inch size or A5 size. But yes, it's hard to tell exactly where this product is being scattered, whether it be attorneys. We know that's a major market, and we bring the product to gatherings of the legal community. We also, again, go to the STEM conferences, and we're stepping up our marketing efforts with those groups. But this is a magnet when you're on a plane, on the train, you're in a conference. We get these stories all the time and recommendations. I had one gentleman down at an appellate conference in Philadelphia. He called on a Saturday. I said, "Joshua, what are you calling me on Saturday?" "Oh, I forgot it's Saturday, Dan, but these people will pick up the phone." And he said, you really need to get in front of the appellate community. Appellate equals reading. I'm carrying all my materials at this CLE in Philadelphia. They're all carrying 3-ring binders, and they're wondering what I have. And he had all his materials on his digital paper.
Wow.
Not a tablet. He had it for reading and markup, all the documents that his colleagues, his counterparts, were carrying on heavy 3-ring binders.
Well, things like that, the word of mouth must spread incredibly quickly when you've got one guy just sat there with this one small device that's got all the same material in front of him. That's just phenomenal. But it does seem that products are expected to continuously evolve and adapt to different use cases now. And that does seem to be something that you're embracing at Sony. But what's your grand vision for the Sony digital paper product?
And you're right on what you just mentioned as we transition to this. Our customers are our biggest ambassadors, and that's, we hear stories all the time about how a PhD student influenced his or her department chair or advisor, or other PhD students or attorneys influencing other attorneys, because that exposes it, and then the light bulb goes on, and it's not either or. Some say it's not a must-have device, and I guess in a sense. It isn't. One can plod along in their old ways or force themselves to do things that aren't as comfortable. But for anyone who's serious professional, this is an outstanding product, and it makes a difference, and that's why we're motivated, because we hear how it makes a difference in their lives. They read more, they mark up more, and they're also helping environmentally. But yeah, grand vision, to your next point, I think the introduction of our new product is a testament to Sony's commitment to this business. Again, we fall in our new product group, and we are still young and new, and we're out on the market now 3 years. But the product extension with the CP1 is a commitment. It is public information that we have a joint venture with E-Ink Holdings. They are committed to this. So together we work to build this. And the grand vision for me, Neil, right now is to bring this product to more and increase the adoption, because we have a business to run. We want to increase the volume of the core product. I always remember a discussion with Howard Stringer in our ebooks, and I joked with him, yes, Sony is in social service. And yes, he said, oh yes, Sony's in social service. Of course, we were all joking, because we're not. And neither is Microsoft or Amazon for sure, or Google or the rest of them, Apple. We have a business to run here. And so my vision and that of my colleagues over the next year is to continue to raise awareness for this product. And thanks to outlets like yours and programming, you help us, and for that we're greatly appreciative. We're doing more with the media to bring our story to the public, and we want informed people to buy and embrace this product and use it. And so in terms of technology grand vision, this of course has a flexible display inside it. It's still rigid. It's hard for me to say if we'll see color. That's been another one of those dreams in the e-ink world for years, but they don't offer the vibrant color that our computers offer or the smartphones. But my vision is to grow this over the next couple of years, and then we'll see how the hardware itself morphs, if it does go flexible or scrollable, and that I don't have much insight right now.
Well, something else that I'm noticing, I mean, obviously millennials are dominating the workplace at the moment and starting to question the old way of doing things. But we're also getting the Gen Z, the next generation, entering the workplace now for the first time. And equally, they're not only going to be questioning the old way of doing things, but also their environmental responsibilities, especially towards things like needlessly using paper. So do you see Sony Digital Paper playing a major role in that digital information of everything, especially for businesses and students, as everything starts to change and attitudes and the way people work change too?
I know if you ask that to my colleagues as well as you are to me, we share that. This is still relatively unknown product. It is niche, but the possibilities, my colleagues and I see this, the possibilities are incredible. The form factors could appeal, could evolve further. The whole backlash against keyboarding and using computers and hiding behind screens in classes, and the discussion, the studies about the importance of handwriting and retention and how handwriting improves learning and retention rates. I don't know if there's a backlash, but I do know that when we've put this in front of law students and even undergrads, the appeal is there, because we find that many still want paper books and still use paper and still mark things up. And again, on top of that, the trend toward changing policies in the classroom and those prohibiting the use of computers and tablets. I know I have a problem when people sit behind their computers in a business meeting and are tapping away, or even tapping away on a conference call. Don't get me started on that one. You can hear the bubble sounds and the clicking. Excuse me, let's focus on this, the subject at hand. So I think the digital paper with its handwriting capabilities, and again, the new smaller one, may appeal even more to those who are focused just on note-taking, because it is a little more discreet in a meeting than the other model. But either is like bringing a pad, a yellow pad, into a classroom or a meeting. So very different from bringing computers. So I think the sky's the limit on this one. And honestly, there's a little competition out there. And that is a demonstration of our success and the vision of others. So I commend a couple of the other companies that are making efforts. We may have our differences, but this is a category, e-paper devices, that has strong potential.
Well, a huge thank you for coming back on the show to talk to me today. Before I do let you go, can you remind listeners where they can find out more information about Sony Digital Paper, the product range, and if there's any corporate listeners that really seem intrigued or we've awoken their curiosity about this, how can a CEO reach out to a member of your team with any questions about our conversation today?
And thank you for mentioning the CEO question. I could share a number of interesting CEO stories that I've personally been involved with, Silicon Valley companies, cloud service companies, very memorable. So if anyone is listening, they can call me, Daniel Albohn, and I'm on LinkedIn, and I would relish the opportunity to introduce this not just to the C-suite, but to any leadership that would benefit individually, but also within certain organizations. And just a sidelight I can give you, I should mention, if any of your listeners are involved with the United Nations, the World Bank, the United States House of Representatives, the United States Senate, I have done pilot programs in a couple of those organizations, and that was a few years ago, and I am looking personally for live wires in legislatures, because this is an ideal tool for anyone who has to review budgets and review legislation. And if just one person, because we have to go where we're not in social service, and our business is coming from the great attorneys and STEM faculty and researchers and others. So you can't go fishing when you have other priorities, but the public sector would be a huge beneficiary of this. We've had little pockets of support, but there needs to be greater support. And if they're going to put their money where their mouth is on sustainability and paper smart initiatives and saving paper and ink and no recycling or no waste, I'll get off my soapbox, Neil, but that's an important message if anyone listens through to the end of this particular program for you. But they can find us not only on our fledgling Facebook and Twitter sites. We'd love to have people follow and like us, but at Sony.com/digital paper. There's a nice showcase of our product on the website. And of course, our strong partners, Amazon and B&H, have been doing a wonderful job in selling this, and the product is available, the RP1 at $699 and the CP1 at $599. And I encourage them, most of our customers also purchase the protective cover and case, because it's designed so perfectly and it holds the stylus. It makes a really nice package. And so I really thank you again for this get-together today.
No, thank you, Dan. And I'll add all those links over on the show notes just so people can find you guys nice and easily. But one of the main things I love about what you're doing there is you're not trying to be all things to all people. There are plenty of tablets that promise to do that. But instead, you're actually honing in and focusing on a niche area and solving a real problem. You mentioned paper smart initiatives there. Most companies are chasing that at the moment, and I think it's just a fantastic thing. You can make a real difference, not by going out and buying another 10 iPads, but buying the right device that can actually help you meet those goals. And I think it's a fantastic thing. So thanks for coming back on, Dan.
Thanks, Neil. Have a good day.
My son recently saved all his money and bought, I think it was a Hughes graphics drawing tablet monitor, which I believe cost around about the same price as one of the giant iPads. But as I know he's already used a friend's giant iPad and that overpriced Apple stylus, I asked, wouldn't it be better just to have picked up an iPad? And he said, no, Dad, because this is more specialist for the graphic design work that he is doing. And I only mention this because I get the exact same impression with Sony digital paper. We have all seen business departments rush out and buy iPads. And if they're all completely honest with themselves, it was much more about them having the latest toy or gadget to play with, rather than producing any tangible results. Having spoken with Dan a couple of times now about Sony digital paper, I think it's clear that we're moving away from this one-size-fits-all approach to tablets and starting to look at the real tangible benefits of every device. For example, how does it increase efficiency? How does it increase productivity? What is the ROI? How's it going to change how I work? And I know this is me being the boring IT guy to a certain degree, but these are the things that we need to be asking. This is what we need to be thinking about. And this is what Sony digital paper seems to be doing here. And Sony digital paper seems to be stepping up to the plate here and not only improving productivity, but maybe, just maybe, it will one day deliver that paperless office we were promised 30 years ago. And it's industries such as legal that are surrounded by paperwork and taking notes that are predictably embracing this technology, but it's also for students as well as businesses. But I want to throw this out to you. Does any of my listeners located anywhere in the world possess or has tried Sony digital paper, whether that be the new model or the older model? I'm really interested in your thoughts and your experiences. As always, email me directly, techblogwriter@outlook.com. Share those experiences with me. Tell me all about Sony digital paper, or tweet me at Neil C. Hughes. I look forward to your engagement and your responses. I am going to be monitoring this one very closely, and I'm also very excited at how Sony digital paper is going to continue to evolve and how they're going to continue to enhance its performance and the results that you can get from one. But I'm afraid we've reached the end of today's episode, so all that's left for me to say is have a fantastic weekend, guys. A big thank you for tuning in and listening to the show. Remember, stay humble, work hard, and until next time, don't be a stranger.
Thanks for listening to the Tech Blog Writer Podcast. Until next time, remember, technology is best when it brings people together.